All right, welcome to another Realvolve Q&A session. This is Mark Stepp. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer here at Realvolve, and we're going to wait just a few moments to let some of the people that are registered come online, and then we'll get started. I'm so excited about having you guys on here. Thank you for taking the opportunity to learn about Realvolve and what it does and how it can help you. My hope is that these types of sessions are beneficial to you so that you can get the things done that you need to get done every day. So just another moment and we'll get started. I also have Lisa online, so she'll kind of direct some of the questions possibly, or bring up some things that some of the other people have had. What I would like for you to note is on the webinar control panel on your right-hand side of your screen, typically, there is a control panel. In that control panel, you should see a section in there for questions, and you can click into that questions area, be able to type down at the bottom the questions that you may have. And along with that, we also have the ability for you to raise your hand. As an attendee, there's a section in there where you can see all the attendees, or at least in your section, and there's a place where you can raise your hand to ask a particular question. And if you want to raise your hand, and I can unmute you, everybody's muted at this point, but I can unmute you, we can have a discussion on whatever questions you may have in the system. Now, what this is, as far as the webinar itself, is really for Q&A, for questions and answers, not as much for problems. If you have a challenge of some sort, some kind of problem that you're running into with Realvolve, definitely visit the live chat sessions at the bottom of the screen of Realvolve. That way, they can really help you one-on-one and be able to actually see the problem on your screen and stuff. This is really going to be more for questions that you have and see if I can answer them. Stump Mark Stepp. So, so if you've got questions, make sure that you ask them in the questions area, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So, thank you again for everybody for attending. And if you've got questions, go ahead and start typing those in the questions area. I do have a question here, and let me go ahead and switch my screen, minimize this. Question is, how do I delete checklist items in an activity? So let me see if I've got any of that we've got here. In the workflows area, for those that have been working in the workflows or want to work in the workflows, this is a very important part of Realvolve. This is the ability to handle checklist items. The advantage of a checklist item, let me just go ahead and I'm just going to add a new activity to a workflow just for purposes of showing this. Whenever you have an activity in the workflow, you can set up an individual title, an individual activity, and within that activity have multiple checklist items available to you. And that's an important thing, because in a lot of systems, you have to set up a separate activity for every checklist item, which is not efficient, but it's also can cause problems down the road for other things. So what you might want to do is have an activity that has checklist items, and I'm going to just say, do I have all the docs, for the lack of a better title on this. This is just an activity maybe to check to see what documents that we've got, make sure that we've got them all. So maybe we've got our disclosures. Maybe we've got our listing contract and inspections. I mean, whatever you want to put in here as checklist items. Now, the problem is we've got a list here, and the person is asking, is there a way for us to delete any of those items off the checklist. And over here on the right-hand side is a little circle with an X in it. And basically what you do is just move over that top of that thing and just click on it to delete it from the list. Once it's deleted from the list, it's gone. Now, you have the opportunity, in addition to deleting them, is just to move them around. So I could put in here item 1, item 2, item 3, and maybe I want them in a different order for whatever reason. I can just click, and also rename them. So if I want to rename something, I can click in to the title of that checklist item and just start typing in anything that I want to. So very easily change that title. But also you can click on the individual item and drag it to a new location. So the ability to set them in a specific order if you want them, you can certainly do that. But then if there's any of those that you don't need, just click on the little X and it'll delete it. Now, I have seen a few browsers have some challenges. So one thing that you need to be cautious of is whenever you go to delete it, don't move your mouse while you're deleting it. Click on it. Otherwise, it may interpret it as a move versus a delete, and it doesn't actually try to delete it, but it actually tries moving it. So you can click off the screen somewhere else, and if you want to remove something, just click on it to delete. So that should take care of that. One thing, I'm not seeing many questions. So hey guys, this is time for you guys to really get answers on things. So if there's something that you really want an answer on, be sure to put it in the questions area or raise your hand and we'll go through that. Another question here is the signature unique to each user, or do I have to set up a signature 1, 2, and 3, etc.? Signatures in templates. Okay, so whenever I'll just close out of that one. Let's go over here to the templates section. And the question is dealing with this right here, within the signatures, being able to set up a signature for your templates. Every template that goes out typically is an email, and you're wanting to sign it at the bottom some way. One of the challenges that people get into is they'll have a bunch of letters that they've created, and they've hard-coded a bunch of signatures in there for their emails, in which case, if you happen to change companies or change phone numbers or websites or something like that, now you've got the challenge of having to redo all of your templates again, which becomes a real problem. The way we get around that is by having a signature merge field. And the signature merge field itself, simply all that it really does is it merges in the signature that you have in the system as a template. So there is a special template in here, signature. And I always show this just for purposes of showing it. It doesn't really do anything. There is a main signature, and it's just labeled signature with a capital S. And whenever I click on that, you would see what is my signature. At this point, and this may change in the future, at this point, we only allow you to have one signature. Now, there is the possibility of using header as another one. We've got another template called header, which basically does the same type of thing. You can put some kind of header in there, but you could use it for literally anything. And then there's also one called footer. And once again, you can have it for whatever purposes as you want. But basically what happens is whenever the merge fields are used, let me just get rid of those, say this introduction letter here, whenever a merge field is used, it takes whatever template that you've got, whatever content you have in your signature, and merges it into that area. So whatever's in this signature gets thrown into this template at the signature location. Now the question that comes up here, is the signature unique for each user? Yes. So even though it's named signature, every user in your system has their own signature. It's named the same, it looks the same. You only see your signature whenever you're logged in, even though there are other ones available. So whenever you're logged in and you send this template, it will grab your signature that is defined there, throw it in before it sends it out. If you have an assistant or another agent that's using your system, they have their signature. Whenever they send the same template, it will go out with their signature in there. So that's an important thing. You do not have at this point a signature 1, 2, or 3. There's no way of doing that right now. We are discussing the ability to have custom merge fields, in which case it would pull other information. I show this because what you can do if you get to a situation where you want to maybe have a couple signatures, you want to keep track of them, you can come in here and just rename. So here's a basic signature. It doesn't have any of my photos or anything. So I could come over here and rename this one to signature and save that. And then go to this one and maybe have this as signature photo, where if I was going to do several batches of things and I wanted to choose a different signature over another one, it can only use one at a time. You can only have one of them. If you have two of them named signature, no telling which one it'll pick. It'll just pick a random one and stick in there. So you got to be really cautious of that for right now. But if at any time you want to switch your signatures, you can do that. It's just a matter of renaming, retitling your signature to a different name. So hope that makes sense. Basic, and save that. Okay, so that's that. Okay, I can't get into my contact sources to add additional sources. Okay, so one of the things that we have within our dashboard is our contact source section here. And what this does is, as names get added to your database and they get applied to a contact, say for instance, I'm going to go to Ken Rose here. Ken Rose is a brand new person, just got filled into the database, and he has a contact source of web. Basically, these different choices are currently available within the system. Now, the ability to add or change, delete whatever items in this list is important, but you don't change it here. We actually change that within the settings section. So if somebody gets filled in from the website or prospecting or whatever, you want to be able to choose it. The thing is we need to assign what those choices are. So I'm going to come over here to settings, and in settings, the screen's going slow, I think, because I'm sharing it here. In settings, we do have all kinds of different setting options. There is this contact source types, and this is where you can have all your different choices. Now, we have several predefined items that are in the list that you can pick and choose from and allow those. They're all common, but you can also add your own thing. So if you wanted to add your own choice of whatever you want, say, my personal website. If I wanted to add that, I can click on save. And what it does is it takes whatever's typed in there, adds it as a new choice. I do have the opportunity that if I want to go in here and edit any of my own choices, I can go in there and edit those. Any of the ones that are from the master list, you cannot edit. So they don't have the little pencil off to the side. If you want to remove a particular source, you can just click on the little X in the list to remove it if it's a custom one. If it is one of the master ones, then you just come up here to the top and remove it from the master list choices. So that's pretty much how you add that. Once that choice is in there, in this case I put in my personal website, now I can go into my dashboard. I can go into any kind of contact, say Ken Rose in this case. Maybe I didn't want to just put web in there, but I wanted to put that he was from my personal website. So I can click on that and choose my personal website. So now there's a whole new choice in there, and you can add as many of those choices as you want. That's important. If you imported from another database of some sort, those items will automatically populate into your source type menu. So we've got that built in for you automatically. So that's that. Hope that makes sense. Any other questions? How do I create a new tag for contacts? Okay, so we've covered this before, not in this session, but I want to make sure that you understand it. Every contact in the database can be assigned a tag. So if we come over here to the radar, in the tags section, you can create whatever, you can see all the different tags that are associated to a particular contact. If you have the correct rights, and creating tags does require special rights from your administrator. We don't allow just everybody to create their own tags. You can come here, of course, selecting a tag that's already in the choice. You can certainly do that with whatever rights that you have. You can select a choice and it'll be put into the list. But if you want to create a brand new tag, say this is my new tag. If I tab out of that field, tab after I've typed it in, I just click tab. It will create an element there which can be added as a tag to the contact. If I tab out of that field, it goes ahead and creates that new tag into that contact. Just like in the other options, if you want to delete a tag, you want to remove it or whatever, you can click on the little X to remove a given tag. So that's how you delete a tag. But to add a tag, you need to be able to have rights. Now, how do you get those rights? In the settings area, if I click on the down arrow, go into settings, under users and permissions. Now, first off, you have to be an admin in order to do this, to be able to get into the users and permissions area. So if you don't see users and permissions, it's because you don't have rights to do it. You'd have to talk to whoever your account owner is or an admin of your system. Once you get in there, then you can select certain rights for the given people. So here I have Kathy Stepp, and different people. If they are an admin, here's Gary. Now I'm going to uncheck Gary as being an admin for right now, just so that it's in there. If they're an admin, they have full rights to everything, so you don't need to custom configure them. So you'll see that if I have that checked, there's an option that's missing. If I uncheck it, that option to configure the security permissions is there. So as not an admin, I can come over here, I can click on the click here piece, and there are additional options for creating permissions. One of those is down here, tag, allow user to create tags. Now, if you want this person to be able to create tags at will, like I just did, just go ahead and place a check mark in there and save that permission. Whenever they log in as that user and they go to into the tag field, they'll now be able to create those tags as needed. And that's pretty much it. So that's how you deal with the tags. Question here is, where do we find reports that can be exported? Where can we find reports that can be exported? Okay, so Jonathan, right now we are still working on the reporting capabilities as far as creating PDFs and stuff like that. That will be coming soon, because it's on my hit list for some of our team members to be working with me on. I've got a lot of reports currently available that we've been putting together, and we'll just make those available once it's been programmed. Need to make bulk calls. Okay, so if you just need to export just to an exported file, what you can do, let me go over here to dashboard. I think I understand your question now. Sorry about that. Say, for instance, I go into my contacts and I want to make a series of phone calls or whatever. What we can do is we can come over here, say I want to pull up everybody that's on my newsletter list. I use this a lot of times. So I'm going to come here and say, well, find me everybody in my database that's on my newsletter list. Well, that shows me just there's 15 contacts in my list that we have for newsletters. So I can come here to this little 15 or whatever the count is and the little chevron arrows. And if you move your mouse over, you'll see that it says View All. I click on that, and that shows me all the names that are in that list. What you might want to do, they would have phone numbers and stuff like that. You're saying that you wanted to export it for Mojo. In this case, if they all had phone numbers, that'd be great. A lot of times you don't have phone numbers. You could sort them by their phone numbers and be able to do the searches this way. Say I wanted to just get certain people. I can select them individually. I can mark them all if I did want to get them all. And then we have over here is the export contacts to a CSV file. In which case, whenever you click on that, it'll ask you two questions, or one question with two options. And that is, do I want to export all the contacts individually? In which case, if there is a husband and a wife and they're linked together, both contacts would be exported individually to your CSV file. If you wanted to combine those two, the primary and the secondary, so husband and wife, you only get one record, even though there may be both of them in the list. You may have checked them both, but you really just want to export them as an individual, then you can choose the combine option. Whenever you click on export here, it will take the selected records and it'll take you over into the settings export contacts area, in which case it'll show that it's processing. It takes a few seconds for that to happen. What you can do is just refresh the screen, and then once it's done, then you'll see that there is a download option. We can click on that download and give you the opportunity to save it wherever you want to save it. And once you've got the CSV file, then you can send that wherever you want. If you want to send that to Mojo or whatever, so that should give you what you want. What happens to phone numbers when you combine? Okay, so I'm guessing you're talking about merging two contacts together. Yes. Okay. So whenever you are dealing with a merged record, whatever contact, so if I had, by chance, I had two Ken Rose records in here, we have the opportunity to come in here, say we want to view all, and actually I'm still doing the filter, so it's not showing the right thing. So let me go to Ken Rose here and do the view all. And for whatever reason, maybe Ken Rose is a person, and if I had another Ken Rose in there, I can go in there and select them. Whenever I go and do the merge duplicates, what it does is it takes the information from the record that has the newest information and merges in the information from the second one. So it'll go in and take that data that's in the second one and throw it into the first one. Whenever there are the same fields of information, say for instance the home phone or the cell phone or whatever. So if both records had a home phone number, it's going to take and leave whichever one is the newest, and then come down here and it'll put the additional one, the one that it merged into, down into the additional phone area. So you'll have multiple phone numbers, but we only keep one home phone number in that case. If they're the same number, technically, if you're merging together, hopefully it's the same phone number. In that case, it just ignores the change and doesn't even worry about it. So that's what that does. I mean, if you have husband and wife, each with their own phone numbers. Oh, whoa. Okay, so that's a great question. It always will use the primary in that case. So if you've got, let me show you that. Say, for instance, I've got Ken Rose, and I come over here, and I'm going to add another relationship. He's married, and he's married to Lisa Rose, which I don't have a Lisa Rose in there, so it's going to add her in there. So Ken and Lisa. I do want their home phones. In this case, I do want their home phone kept sequenced or together in sync. Any kids and any tags, I want to keep them all the same. So if I click on save there, now I've got Lisa Rose, who is married to Ken, so Ken and Lisa. And if I go to Lisa's record right now, you'll see since I just added her, she should have the same home address and the same home phone, but she will have a separate cell phone number. So if I go in here and click on Lisa, you also see that all the tags came over that were created, and there's the information for those too. In this case, where we have a home mobile, her mobile phone is probably different than his mobile phone, so it doesn't synchronize those at any point. But if I put in 555-1313, now she has her own cell phone. Now, whenever those two get exported and it uses the primary record, it will actually use Ken's primary cell phone in that case, but both of them will have the same home phone in that case. So I hope that makes sense. So since we are putting them together, not everybody would have a cell phone necessarily, but whenever you merge the two, the husband and the wife, doing primary and secondary, it uses the primary as the primary contact and all their information. So hope that makes sense there. Okay, so from a workflow, I want to send an email to my lender referring a new contact so that he can pre-approve them. How do I do that? Okay, that's actually very easy now. We recently made some changes to be able to do that very thing, in fact. So say, for instance, let's go back to, I'm going to go back to my contacts here. And let's say Ken Rose. Now, I've got Ken in here with my email address just for showing. I was doing some testing with Ken. So he's got my email address. Normally, he would have his own email address. This is just a sample database, so I like to play around with it, and I put in my email. So Ken just comes in as a new lead, and you collect his home address, some cell phone information, phone numbers, and his email. And you want to put him on a workflow of some sort. I'm going to show you first off kind of the end result of this so that it'll make sense. So I can come to my radar for Ken, and I click on Start a Workflow. And let me see, I've got one in here just for new lead to lender. Okay, so I've got a special workflow that does two things. This workflow sends an email to Ken, to whatever email address. It'll send to my personal email, actually, in this case, but it'll send it to Ken. And that email just says, hey, thanks for visiting the open house or whatever. And then a second step of this workflow is to send an email to the lender, whoever the whoever my lender typically is, and you can specify that either through a specific or there's a couple options there. But you're wanting to reference, you want to send the email to the lender, but you want to reference information about Ken in that letter. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this, and we're going to click on next. And this just shows you the two things: send a thank you to the contact and send the email to the lender. No biggie there. I'm just going to leave those on there. And when do I want to start this? Well, I want to start this today. Now, if you were doing this maybe from a open house form that you created on Google Forms, it could automatically import Ken. It could automatically start this workflow. So these few steps wouldn't even be needed. I'm just stepping through it to show you how it's done and what the end result will be. In this case, I've got in my workflow, I've got the lender pre-selected as being Kathy Stepp, just for testing purposes here. You could select whoever your normal lender is and send it out there. If you want to possibly send it out to maybe 3 different lenders and let each of them kind of deal with messing with sending information to Ken and doing that, you can certainly do that. So the send the email to the lender is whoever you have it specified here, and send the thank you is to the workflow contact, whoever you're starting this workflow on. So we're going to go ahead and click on done. At that point, we can go and look in our activities in the incomplete section, and here are the 2 activities. One of which is to send the thank you to the contact, and which I can just come over here. And if it's set for automatically send, then it would just automatically go out. I'm not going to do that, but just, well, I guess I can just do this. Say, go ahead and I want to run this. It would probably be set up to be automatic and go on out. So the contact now should be getting an email saying, hey, thank you for coming to the open house or whatever. Now, my second email, my second thing that I wanted to do was be able to send information to my lender about this contact, whoever I'm starting this on. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to click on that I want to send this as well. And I'm going to go ahead and click on run. Now, again, remember that normally these activities, I'm doing it from the activities list. Normally these activities will show up on your dashboard so that you can do them from your dashboard. You don't have to come in to the individual contacts. I'm just doing it here to make it simple. So I'm going to go ahead and click on run on this action. There's only one action on this. And on this particular template and activity, I have it set for manually send with preview. So I have the ability to come in here and say, well, don't send it out automatically. I want to edit it first or be able to edit it. So I can go ahead and click on edit this message, and here's just a quick layout of it. So I'm going to go here to preview just to kind of preview what is it going to look like. So this is the email that's going to my lender, in this case, hello Kathy. It put in the lender's information of Kathy, and just some information in the email template itself. We had an open house this week, and Ken Rose, who is the person that this email is going out to, came to look and was very interested. If you don't mind, please get in contact with him at your earliest convenience. And so I'm passing in the information about Ken in this case. So the name of the lead is Ken Rose, his address, his email, which again, I'm using my email just for testing purposes here, but and then whatever his cell phone number is. And these are just merge fields within there. So, and then it has my regular signature and stuff on there as well. So I could go ahead and send that if I wanted to. And that will then go to Kathy for her stuff. So now let's go take a look at how that is actually built out. So we go into the workflows area, and I have a sample in here, new lead to lender. This is the one that we started, and it just has the 2 activities, in which case the activities are to send the thank you letter to the contact. And if we look at that, that is just a standard email. I'm the one doing it. pick the interested parties. It's the interested party in this case is just the workflow contact. Who am I doing this workflow on? So that's good. When am I doing it? I have it set for 0 days after the start date or on the start date. And the action on this, we've just got one action on here, is to send the email automatically. And the email that's being sent is the thank you for registering. So that's just the standard email to the contact. What's different is that we are also sending an email to the lender. So in this case, I've got my title of sending the email to the lender. The interested parties in this case is instead of sending it to the workflow contact, we've chosen that we want to send it to a specific contact. In this case, I want to send it to Kathy as an option. Now I can put in other people in there. So if I wanted to go in there and say Larry Linder as well, so that way not only would Kathy get it, but also Larry the lender would get it. So you can put in as many different specific contacts as you want. You might, in lieu of even doing that, you may have a special tag that you want to send to. So maybe you want to send this, whoever the new lead is, to anybody that's tagged with my preferred lender or my preferred lenders. So maybe you've got 4 or 5 lenders that you like, but you don't necessarily want to refer a specific one because of RESPA violations or something like that. Might cause you, I'm not sure if that would be an issue or not, but you could say, hey, these are some of the ones that I use and be able to send that out. So you can pick whichever people, and then what happens then is whenever you send this email, in this case we're sending an email to introduce the lead to the lender is the email that we're sending, and I'm going to go take a look at that. But that's all it's doing is it's using the with to determine who's going to get that, in this case the lender. Now I'm going to go over here to my templates, and okay, 00 introduce lead to lender. So here's where all the magic happens. We have the greeting field that you can normally use, but because this is a special thing, we've got some special fields that you can use. In this case, I want to send it to the selected contact that I have in that activity, which is Larry Linder or Kathy or whomever, and it's using the first name field of that contact that I'm sending it to. So contact pound first name, that's a special merge field that we have. We had an open house this week, and first name, last name, and in this case, I'm using the merge field that is used for workflow contact. It's different than contact. Contact is who am I actually contacting. Workflow contact is who was the workflow created on. Who, in this case, it was the person that we started that workflow on. Their first name, their last name, came to look and very interested. If you don't mind, please get in contact with him at your earliest convenience. And then we pass in those additional merge fields that relate to the workflow contact. In this case, I'm sending first name, last name, home address, home email, and home mobile phone. I can put whatever I want to in there, bracket, workflow contact, and we've got all the different types of merge fields that are available for the workflow contact. So you can use those as needed. You will also see there is workflow contact greeting. So instead of using first name and last name, we may want to use in there workflow contact greeting or mailing name, either one, where if it's a husband, wife, instead of using the individual contact record, it would actually use the greeting field or the mailing name field. Greeting field has just first names of the two people, of the parties that are merged together, and the the husband, wife, and the mailing name merge field. If I go here and say workflow, contact, scroll down a little further, I've got so many of them, mailing name. So we've got greeting here would be like Joe and Mary, and the mailing name is Joe and Mary Smith. Whenever they were merged in, it would show the full name, or if whatever's in the mailing name field and the greeting field. So you could have other things in there if you've edited those, but those are kind of the default values. So that's how you do exactly what you were just asking. We specifically put that in there to allow that. Hope that makes sense. Hey, Lisa, are you still there?
I'm here, Mark. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Just checking to see if you had any specific questions that you've run into this week, if you wanted me to cover. If not, I'll keep going. I'm running out of questions, but I've got.
Yeah, no worries. You actually answered one, which was the contact sourcing, so thank you for doing that. I do have a couple users that quite often ask about the emails and when emails are sent out through Revolve, are their clients seeing their actual email, or is it a Revolve email? Is it showing up in the radar or in the dashboard? Where are they stored, and are they deleted if they so they want to know like the record keeping of their emails,
Okay,
and does it show in their Google as well?
great. Okay, that's a great question. And what we'll do, I'll go back over here to Ken Rose, and we'll just do a sample here. So in this case, I've got Ken Rose. I'm going to, if we take a look here, I sent an email to Ken Rose, so through that workflow that we just did. So if I look here, you can see there is a reference to that email that was sent, and you'll see now that we've got a delivered option. So it's been delivered to the server, the whoever this was sent to. It's on their email server, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's been read or anything like that. So I'm going to open up my email section. Just I had that closed for this. And come over here. Okay, so let me show you the email as it was sent. So this is the email that was sent. You'll see that because I was logged in as Mark Stepp, it does have my name at the top. Right now it says send via SendGrid. That's who we send our emails through. This is going to be changing soon, but right now it does say your main name and who it was sent through. Um, the the email itself will have whatever other information and stuff that was put in there for the purposes. Now, if I come over here and since I've opened it just now, if I come back over here, since I opened that email, and I'm going to click on Radar, it should now say that it's been opened. You'll see that the little status now shows that yes, they did indeed open it. So I can come down here and I can look to see some information. I can see how many emails was it processed to, in which case I sent it to both Mark at realvolve.com and mark.stepp at realvolve.com. It was delivered to both of them, and also it was opened by one of them. So some information there. Whenever that email is replied to, so if I come back over here and say I'm Ken and Lisa, I come here and I send out, um, you know, hey Mark, thanks for the info. Thanks for the info, Ken. Okay, and I click on send. So what that does then, now it's going to look funny just because I've sent it to myself from myself, so it's not going to quite look right. but in which case the email just came in, and it'll say, hey, Mark, thanks for the info. So I received a copy of that within Realvolve, because whenever that was replied to, it had Ken's mailbox or Dropbox email as an address in there, as well as mine. So not only am I getting it into Realvolve, I'm also getting it in my own personal email as well. So come over here, and let me go back to my personal email, because it's going to my other Gmail account. And so let me bring this here down. Okay, so the new lead came in, and here's the email that he sent to me. If we look at the header on this, in Realvolve, in my Realvolve, I have my personal email as who I'm logged in as, so it shows me my email. This would be your email, your personal email. It also shows the Realvolve email. So both of them get a copy of that email that's coming in. So it came in not only into my Google account, it also came into Realvolve. That way it tracks it on both levels. So whenever I come back over here, and if I wanted to then reply back to Ken's email, I can click on reply, and it's going to reply back to whatever his email address is. Again, I'm using mine, so it looks a little odd, but that way all the information, if I wanted to send another email or something, I can certainly do that, and then it puts all that information in there. So that's really where that all comes from, and goes to the header itself, says whatever the name is of the person that is sending it. It'll have your, as the agent, it'll have your first name and last name. It does right now have the comment send via SendGrid, but that'll be going away once we turn on the white labeling piece on SendGrid. So you guys no longer have to deal with that, but it's very basic. Did that answer the question?
That did, Mark. Thank you. One more question, though. So if you are in, say, your personal email and you no longer need that email, or you just want to delete it, if you delete it in your personal email, is it still in Revolve? Or vice versa, if you delete in Revolve, does it delete in your Google?
Okay, so if you're sending an email from within Realvolve, you've clicked on the little envelope here to send an email, it is referenced here in the radar. Any kind of email that was replied to that mailbox will show up in the radar as well. If you delete it from your normal email, it's still retained here in the radar. Now, we also have, for those people that have emails, and I'm not sure that it's set up here on this one or not, there is a place where, so every contact in your database has an email tab. That email tab, based off of having it set up in the settings email, links to, it's a physical link to your Gmail IMAP server or whatever IMAP server you've got set up. So this particular case, it is showing me every email that I either sent to or received from Ken at whatever email address is supplied for his account, or email addresses, because you can have more than one, and it'll show every one of them. In this case, the emails are being shown because they're in Google. If I delete them from Google, they will no longer show up in here, even though they will show on our radar because they were sent specifically to this mailbox for Ken. So there is some confusion from people saying, well, what's the difference between the radar items and the email tab items? The radar items are things that we have sent to people from within Realvolve, and they have replied back to that same email that has the link to the Dropbox item. Every one of those are shown on the radar, and those are logged in here. Now you can delete them from here if you want to delete. You can click on the little delete, and it'll delete them, and they'll be gone. But the real difference is the fact that the email tab is just a mirror reflection of what you have on Gmail. Now, on mine, I do have it set so that whenever I send an email from Realvolve, it goes ahead and BCCs my personal Gmail account. So I'm getting a copy of that email that I did send in Gmail, as well as having it in my radar. But that's just a byproduct of the fact that I have the BCC in there. So is that clear as mud?
It does. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, good. Good. Okay. Let me go back over here, see if I can get to my screen. Okay. I accidentally deleted a contact from my database. How do I get it back? Oh, man, it's gone. It's gone. No, it's not. So over here we have contacts in the database. If for whatever reason you come over here and you delete a contact, say Keegan here, and I delete that contact, it removes them from the list. And first off, the confirmation is there so that, do I really want to delete it? No, I really don't. It'll stay in the list. But if you do delete it, you goofed up and didn't really mean to do it, then what you can do is come over here to the settings side, click on the down arrow and choose settings. In the settings area, we do have a section here called trash. In the trash area, it will show us all the different groups of things that we may have deleted items from, in which case I have contacts, and lo and behold, there is Keegan. Now, if I really did want to get rid of Keegan, I really don't want to have him in the list anymore, I can come here and click on the X one more time to delete him permanently. But if I want to restore him, I click on the little restore icon, and it will remove him then back from the trash and send him back into my database, in which case I can find him again. Evans, and there's Keegan again. So all good and well. Okay. Is there a way to scan a business card into Realvolve? Okay. This one is a little bit more detailed, and we really don't have enough time to go through the entire process. What I need to do probably is put together a video on how to do this. There is a Zap, and let me go to Zapier.com. There is a service called Full Contact for those people that have used Full Contact. Full Contact. Okay, so here's we use this occasionally for getting cards and stuff into ours, but it's a little bit detailed, and I really don't want to go through the entire thing in 7 minutes. I don't have enough time for that. What you can do is you can sign up for Full Contact, which is a fullcontact.com, and there's a Full Contact app for business cards. So you can go to your phone, download the Full Contact application for your phone, and use your phone's camera to take a picture of a business card. Once that business card is scanned and sent to Full Contact, what they do is they have, I don't know how many, they have hundreds and hundreds of little peeps that go in there, and they look at these images, and they hand put in those numbers and stuff for you. So it will take the information on that card, fill in automatically the person's name, their title, their company information, any field that they have in their databases, they fill that in and put it in there. Then, because you have an account with them and you sent it to them, it then sends back through a Zap the ability to take that content of whatever they bring back, a new business card entry that makes that connection. And then we can then use a Zap to grab that information for that business card and put it right into Realvolve. It's the coolest thing, and the nice thing about it is the fact that it is hand entered instead of using some kind of OCR, optical character recognition software, which may throw the fax number into the home field or whatever. It's very accurate, and that's the best part about this, because a lot of times cards are just not easily OCR'd. They're not. It's really hard for a computer to pick out maybe what the office number is versus the fax number or whatever, because I've played with that before, and it just they're not very accurate. With full contact, they actually do the data entry with their millions of people, whoever does it, and fills that in, and then it gets sent back to you automatically. And in which case, once they get added, you could even start a workflow. So maybe you're doing maybe you're doing an open house and people are giving you business cards for, it could be an agent open house. You can then take a snapshot of every business card for the agent and then send it to full contact. It brings that information, it automatically puts it into Revolve, and then could automatically start a workflow that says, hey, thank you for visiting our agent open house. I'll keep you informed of any type of information, blah, 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 whatever you want to. So very, very powerful mechanism for being able to utilize business cards for data entry. So that's a way of doing it. There may be other sources for that as well. I'm not as familiar with them. I am familiar with the full contact. You could check other options with Zapier, just coming in and explore and say business cards. See if there's anything. I don't see anything here. That's weird. It may be on me searching the ones that I have selected, which isn't a good one. In either case, that's how that's done, and I hope that answers that question for you. Okay, we are coming to a close on our time, and I appreciate you guys visiting. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn Realvolve and giving us the opportunity to serve you. If you have any additional questions after this, be sure to send it to us, support@realvolve.com, or go to our help chat area, and we'll be happy to answer those questions. Lisa, did you have anything else before we quit?
No, I think that was it, Mark. Thank you very much. It was very informative.
Okay, good. Well, guys, you guys have a great week, and we've got another session set up for next week. If you still want to come back, you can certainly do that, and we'll answer whatever additional questions then. Have a great day, guys. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Mark. Take care of everyone.